Check, check, check. Hi, Jennifer. Can you hear us online?
Good evening. Yes, I can.
Right, Britt. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Perfect.
5. I think we have a quorum.
Awesome. So meeting starting at 6 p.m. Let's see. Chair Reese,
Present.
Vice Chair Mahold,
Here.
Commissioner Glasser, Commissioner Pinsner,
Here.
Commissioner Dye.
Here.
Oh,
I thought you said Duggan.
oh, no, sorry. And Commissioner
Mostly here.
Duggan will be joining at 6:10, so we'll wait to note that for the record when he gets here.
There was just a little glitch there. No problem. Okay. We now have the meeting going here, and let's go ahead and if everybody's had a chance to look over the minutes, if there's any errors or issues, please bring it up now.
Not even a misspelling. Good job.
Do we have anybody online, Brett?
Just Jennifer.
Okay. All right, then. I would accept a motion.
Motion to approve the PC minutes of April 22nd.
I second.
Okay, please call the vote. Yes.
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 Forgot to turn on my mic. Where am I at? Vice Chair Mahold
Yes.
and Commissioner Duggan's still not here. Okay.
Motion carries though.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, we will open it up for public comment on non-agenda items. If there's anybody online, please make yourself known. And if there's anybody in the room that wants to speak on a non-agenda item, please come up to the podium, give us your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Just to clarify, we still have no one online that's public.
Okay, having heard none, we'll close the public comment on 9 agenda items. And I will make an inquiry to Attorney Mattson. Should we wait? Can I start reading like the preamble from the script before Commissioner Duggan gets on, or should we wait till he arrives?
Because it's quasi judicial, I would recommend maybe moving to one of your discussion items first, taking something out of order. Is that okay?
That worked fine with me. That's why I'm checking with you. Okay. Do we have the person who is here for 6.1, the cattle grazing discussion item?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Okay,
was gonna say,
well, we're going to go out of order here, and we're going to wait since the SRU is a quasi judicial matter, and we'll wait till we have the full planning commission here. And we'll move to item 6.1, the cattle grazing discussion item. And Britt, take it away.
So this agenda item is for temporary grazing of beef steers at 0 East 3rd Street, which is referred to as Meadow property. The town has received an informal inquiry regarding whether the zoning regulations permit the temporary placement of 6 beef steers on the Meadow property located at 0 East 3rd Street, adjacent to the post office. This proposal includes temporary placement of 6 steers, duration of approximately 1 month or less, installation of temporary fencing to contain animals, and you can correct me if any of this is wrong. Not temporary, okay. Okay, and purpose of vegetation management and wildlife risk reduction is essentially what this is for. There's no formal application. This is just a discussion item today. So just as a background, the parcel is owned by Ned Meadow LLC, located within proximity to downtown post office area, right in front of the wastewater plant. The site is currently undeveloped and contains grass and vegetation. The property owner has indicated the existing vegetation may contribute to seasonal wildfire risk. The proposal's short-term grazing activity is intended to reduce fuel loads in a natural, low-cost manner. Zoning analysis, definition and use classification. The town code does not clearly define cattle. Existing livestock provisions primarily reference horses, and livestock uses are only permitted within Mountain Residential Zoning District. Because cattle are not specifically defined or listed as a permitted use in other districts, their classification under code is ambiguous. Applicability of section 16-32. Given the lack of clear definition, the following sections of code becomes relevant. Uses are grouped and designated as Y equals permitted, R equals permitted by special reviews, and N equals prohibited. I think at the first one I meant permitted, sorry. If uncertainty exists regarding classification, an application may be made to the Planning Commission for determination. Planning Commission decisions may be reviewed by the Board of Trustees within 30 days. Staff interpretation, because cattle or temporary grazing of steers are not explicitly listed as permitted or conditional use, the code directs this use to be considered prohibited unless formally interpreted otherwise. This creates a pathway for the Planning Commission determination on whether temporary grazing is sufficiently similar to existing use, being livestock. Confirmation that the use is not permitted in the applicable zoning district. Applicability of section 16-77 temporary uses. The zoning code already includes a temporary use section which permits certain short-term activities across zoning districts. Christmas tree sales being one of those, under 45 days, contractors' offices and equipment sheds being less than 6 months. Real estate offices, specifically for developments, less than a year, and both of those are renewable. The uses share several key characteristics: limited duration, temporary structures or operations, administrative oversight and renewal authority by the zoning administrator. Review of the current temporary uses framework suggests an opportunity for clarification and potential refinement. Section 16-77 identifies specific temporary uses that are permitted. The section does not establish broader criteria or a flexible mechanism for evaluating other short-term activities that may be similar in nature. As a result, certain temporary uses may not have a clearly defined review path under the current code, even when they are limited in duration and comparable in impact to those already listed. Temporary nature of the use. The proposal is short-term, being a month or less. I will have him make any clarifications if I'm incorrect in any of this. Intended for vegetation management, not a long-term agricultural use. While limited duration reduces potential impacts, the code does not clearly currently distinguish between temporary and permanent livestock uses. Therefore, duration alone does not exempt this use from zoning restrictions. Fencing and containment. The applicant is proposing installing fencing to ensure the animals remain contained. Any fencing would need to comply with our height and material standards, and then temporary structure provisions. As he stated, it would not. Potential impacts for public health and compatibility considerations could be odor and noise, odor and waste, noise, and proximity to the post office, pedestrian activity, and there are these factors are typically considered in evaluating livestock uses, particularly in non-residential or mixed-use areas. So there's options for consideration. The Planning Commission could determine if temporary grazing of cattle fits within the existing use, or if this is prohibited under current code. Option 2, temporary use, administrative interpretation. If defensible, interpret the activity as a temporary land management for a municipal function. Option 3, code amendment, amend the code to allow for temporary grazing for vegetation management. Option 4, code amendment, revise temporary revise the existing temporary section. And add a specific use category, including language such as temporary grazing for vegetation management or wild. broader board decision, allow the zoning administrator to approve similar temporary uses based on defined criteria such as duration limits, compatibility with surrounding areas, adequate containment and site management, and then minimal impact to public health, safety, and welfare. If you have questions, and then Jennifer and I can answer questions you might.
Thanks very much. Clarifying questions before?
Has there been a review? Nothing has been done. My recommendation as staff was, since this wasn't clear, to bring this to you all to kind of get some direction, because I don't have direction for the possible app.
Process question, if we do decide, I think it was option 3, that need to be, vote is unclear, to make it more clear that okay. How long would that process take? What has, that's something that we have to do, has to go to board of trustees?
Yeah,
And
so
what's the slowdown?
absolutely. So we would need to be given direction to work with the town attorney, Jennifer, to move forward with making that amendment. We would then either bring it to you, depending on direction, as a draft or an action item next meeting. And then it would go to the board of trustees. There has to be 15 days for public noticing. So if, for instance, our next meeting would be in June, then it would likely not go to the planning or the board of trustees till mid-July for public noticing.
Okay, second process question. There's a statement that says if it's not specifically approved, it's prohibited. Where is that code?
Rich, you want me to?
Yeah, feel free.
Sure. That's in section 1632, use groups. It's in paragraph B.
I just want to note for the record that at 6:11,
Yes,
Commissioner Duggan.
thank you.
Okay. There's no other clarifying questions. We'd love to have the applicant come up, give your name and address, and just tell us what you're trying to accomplish here.
Hi, my name is Emmett Hoyle. This is 22637 Peak to Peak Highway 119. Yeah, so I own 6 beef steers, and I live over at Los Lagos Ranch, and we graze them there throughout the duration of the summer typically. However, being that it's such a dry season and that we also own the Ned Meadow property, we thought might be a good idea to graze them on that parcel of land to, accomplish wildfire reduction as well as keep down all that good looking grass. And so that kind of kicked off my research to see if it's even legal and led down this path. So it's, it's not a necessary for me for my operation, but it's, I think it could be beneficial. I think it could be kind of interesting for the town, for people to see steers down, some cattle near town. It's undeveloped property. I would add that there's already fencing on 3 sides of the 4. One is a rail fence. It's a wooden fence. I'm sure you've all seen it there. That was installed 10, 12 years ago, something like that, by the Carline family when they owned it. And then the western portion has a decrepit fence. I would remove that and then install just a wire fence along the perimeter there, back, and then along the post office side as well. This is a temporary thing. We have bigger plans for the property in the future, but which are undefined. But yeah, it just seemed like a fun thing to do.
Okay. Questions for Emmett from Planning Commission?
First one, these are 4 steers. I don't know anything about animal husbands, 6, I'm sorry. How, that's on roughly 2 acres, right?
Mhm.
How do they behave, when you get 6 males together? Is it likely to be, do they fight or are they
No,
chill?
no. So they've been raised as a group since they were taken from their mother, and they're very docile. We haven't had any kind of conflict or bullfighting going on there, if that's kind of what you're asking. They're relatively personable. I mean, they'll come up and eat from people's hands. Yeah, does that answer your question? I mean, I guess I would add that people going onto the property to interact with the steers would be trespassing. You know, they are private property, so it is a concern of mine, and it's sufficient of a concern that I'm questioning whether it's a good idea to put them in the middle of town in this application, but it's a lot of good grass right there, so it seems like it would be great to mow it down. One last comment. Boulder County Open Space has this kind of program with cattle. They put cattle in on a lot of their open space property in order to try and reduce wildfire risk and fuel loads. So that should be
Perhaps we
noted.
can take a look at what they have in their code and, no copyrights in code, so.
Is the density in Boulder County relatively the same to what you're proposing here?
Unknown. I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty light footprint, having 6 steers, and I'm also very cognizant of not overgrazing. And thus the temporary nature of a month or less, that would be sufficient time for them to get it eaten down without an excess amount of overgrazing or, manure buildup or anything like that.
When would that need to be approved for it to be viable for you for this summer?
Good question. I mean, my hope was to do it earlier than later, but at the rate that things move, I would expect it to be the fall at this point, and that's fine.
Just want to be realistic with you.
Sure. Yeah. Understood.
Okay, go ahead.
I think my question would be, so many town, that would be liability. That could be,
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for the liability question, but that is a good concern. I, I don't have an answer to people's stray dogs.
yeah, well, and because it's such a busy area at the post office,
Right.
a lot of people do tend to take their dogs with them. Plus, there's also the possibility of kids running.
Yeah, I think part of the reason that Glenna fenced off that whole area was to keep people off of the property, because there
Right.
was a bit of a trail that had popped up through the meadow. at one
And she
point.
did put signs, sure,
Yes.
yeah.
You're right there. What about the smell? How much, there's houses very close.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be too worried about that, given that it would be a month or less. They aren't that smelly, there's certainly going to be manure, like I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat that, but I think given that time frame, it wouldn't be bad.
And I've got a similar situation, my neighborhood with 2 horses directly next door, a lot less space. It's, seems to be manageable from my perspective.
For the fencing that you have in place currently, is that remaining or will the entire perimeter be refenced?
It will remain, that wooden fence will remain. It needs improvement. There's a couple of posts that have gone down. So that will remain, but the west, north and east faces or sides of the property will have new fencing installed.
Just wondering if that would make it maybe more or less accessible to stray animals or interference if the fencing is going to be adequate as opposed to just,
Right. That's a valid concern. But to keep dogs out is that would be very difficult. You would have to use some kind of hog fence or wire mesh fence that prevent a dog from entering into the space.
Have you talked with any of the neighbors about it yet?
I have not.
Okay. I think that we might have to do some of that to get to make sure we have buy-in
Okay.
as part of the process.
One thing that was on that meadow previously was probably horses there. That was an issue there too.
When would that have been, Linda?
That was a long time ago.
I found an old photograph. I was searching through historic photographs of Nederland and found a picture of that structure.
That's where I received mine.
Oh, I see. Well, this is a fairly unusual request for it to be in town. But, you know, as Commissioner Mahold said, you know, we already have precedents for that with horses in town. At this time, I'm going to say, I don't think is there anybody here that sees this as a real problem? You know, I don't know exactly how the process will work to come back. I don't see it as quick. If you were looking at getting this done by July, I would say that's probably unlikely. The timeframe that Britt said would be if everything went exactly like in order. So if it's you know, I've got a time frame where I have to hit, you might, you know, push it out a little bit, but it would require a change in the code to allow that. And there's been some interesting stuff in the past with the animal code that will require a deeper dig on that. We've looked at revising that in the past, you know, to goats and different things that were in town, and it didn't actually get updated. The people with the ghost left, and so we didn't do it. So I'm going to tell you that it may not happen in the summer time frame, but if this is something you'd like to do and it's going to be an ongoing thing, you know, I don't see how it being, you know, you're getting a hard no from anybody here, and we'd like to see it, and it wouldn't be during the discussion item anyway. But I would love to, you know, get a little more information from that on, hear from the neighbors, because, you know, I think if those duplexes that are right across or what, you know, there might be concerned for safety issues. But if it's one of those things where you have a lot of pushback, you know, from you know 6 or 7 neighbors, you know, that will certainly influence the planning commission. I will just let you know that. So it would probably be worth your while to, if you're going to go forward with there's some costs associated with putting in a packet, right, Britt?
That would depend what route we go. I might have Jennifer speak in regards to what route we would go for this for costs.
I'll come back to that, and
Yeah.
I'll just make a suggestion that maybe you walk over and knock on their door and talk to them, say, hey, I'm considering this, but before I go to the expense and time of trying to get the code changed in town, I just want to see, you know, if you guys have a real serious problem with that, or if you're going to come out against it, and it might just save you some time and effort and money.
We can also pull mailing labels if you weren't able to get some people in person through
Okay.
the property assessor website. If we wanted to like shoot out some kind of lettering of like, what are your thoughts?
Okay.
But yeah, Jennifer, I don't know if you have anything to add.
I don't have anything to add as to that. I mean, if the planning commission wants my thoughts as to the best way to move forward with this type of request.
You're getting
I'm
some
not-
pet nods.
Yes, we would.
Okay, so I think because of the limited duration of this use, I mean, the property owner is talking about using this property in this manner for less than 2 months. It seems to me that this would fit as a temporary use. The code already has temporary uses for certain activities under section 1677. And there's a process that people need to go through to get a permit for a temporary use. I wouldn't think that this would be the type of use where you would just say it's allowed in neighborhood commercial or it's allowed in mountain residential. I would think you would want more guardrails in terms of deciding whether, X property can have cattle grazing on it. And because of that, I think it would fit well under that temporary use section. So that it's essentially would be a decision of an administrative decision. We could put guardrails around it. The zoning administrator could contact the neighbors or the applicant could contact the neighbors, make sure appropriate fencing is in place and say, property owner, you have a permit for 60 days to use your property for this purpose.
That sounds like the cleanest to me.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And so it sounds like there's a couple paths. One is a little harder than the other. Actual making a full change of the code takes much longer. The temporary,
Well,
sorry.
that would be a full change in the code because currently the temporary uses spelled out in the code are very limited to your Christmas tree sales, contractor offices, and real estate offices for new housing developments. So you'd have to add a fourth category, which could be a grazing category, or we could make it more generic so that,
Hoofed animals.
yeah, or even more generic than that. So that it would be kind of a catch-all.
Okay.
It's a
Well-
good idea too. I mean, there's a lot of folks that do goat grazing for wildfire
True.
reduction and that kind of stuff. So that may come down the pike in the future.
In terms of process, what are you thinking?
Well, clearly, thanks for that clarification, Attorney Mattson. It is going to require, so it kind of, that helped answer the question. It still is going to probably be a few months to be able to get this in place. If I would still go before you put a lot of time and effort and talk to the neighbors and see if there's two of them that are going to be here jumping up and down, squawking about the smell and the noise and everything. It's not just us. It's got to go to the BOT and be approved too. So, it will be a little bit of a process, but I could see that being beneficial. And it takes care of, it helps you save a little money on grain for the animals, and it keeps the wildfire risk down a little bit, as that's so close to residential. So, from my perspective, right now, without hearing from any of the other people that would be affected by it, I see that as a possibility. But again, it would require the code change from us and then getting to the BOT and then passing it. So it will be a bit of a lift. And so if it's something that you're like, yeah, I'd like to do, this is kind of a like to do item, but not really that critical, you might just weigh how much the effort and the process is. But if it's something you're like, I'd really like to do this every year and come in for 60 days during the summer, go ahead and pursue it.
Okay.
But I think that this could be something that would be beneficial for the town.
So what would be the direction for
To you.
staff and the applicant then?
Right.
Because do we need to move forward with amendment, or would you prefer staff work with Emmett to maybe go ahead and do some of that pre-reaching out? Come back with that's going to extend the timeline, of course. So I'm just looking for what you guys want from our side.
Question on the property itself.
Mhm.
Would it be limited? I think there should be in the code that it's limited to the property owner's property. It can't extend from that. Cattle couldn't be other places.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
limited only to that.
absolutely.
And that doesn't seem to be in the code. Does that need to be?
I think it would probably, and Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, go, we would add this use and then like she was saying, create those guardrails from an administrative perspective. I don't know if that would be like another going into code or that would be some kind of list or what that looks like. Jennifer, do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, I mean, essentially it would be it's a temporary use permit that the property owner is applying for.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, very much like when we did the outdoor drinking, food and drink there for Trace Gringos
Mm-hmm.
during
Yeah.
COVID. And then we
Mhm.
just changed things to, okay, it will require some code changes. But you know, if it's something that you're still wanting to, you know, pursue, my direction would be, you know, if I was a neighbor, I would want you to come and talk to me. And if I had heartache, I would sure let you know right up front. And if I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have some cattle across the street, I would be like, I'd let you know. So before, my concern is your time and money investment in it, you know, and then getting, you know, 3 months down the line and coming, you know, having at the very last minute, having 6 neighbors show up and kill your project. So I would say, and I'll let anybody else weigh in, that it would be good for the staff to work with you and try and get the feedback from the neighbors. But of course, you're free to pursue a full packet and request.
And I think as a matter of policy, it would be good policy to go through the process of putting together a temporary use permit that's going to apply to other things too. It's something, it's a tool we're going to use for other things later when we get requests out of left field like this one. So thanks for bringing it to us.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So would there maybe be an interest in staff pursuing a more general use permit and bringing some kind of draft code? And then as we're working on speaking to neighbors, he can then decide if he wants to still continue in that process. And maybe this is something we still pursue out guard.
It sounds like the guidance I would give, let's go for a nod, because it's a discussion item, a nod of if people are in alignment with that.
What do you think? Do we have a nod of 4 from the planning commission on that course of action?
Okay. Alrighty,
All right,
then,
I'll note, not of 6.
Okay.
perfect. So just to clarify, we're gonna move forward with a general kind of draft to bring you next time. I'm gonna work independently to kind of help out Emmett. And then if he doesn't come to the next meeting, that's your answer there, but we'll kind of go from there. So I'll reach out to you.
Great. Thank you.
Perfect,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
everybody, for your help.
Thanks, Emmett.
did have
I
a-
hope
I
that
did have
works
a
out.
couple of questions.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I know.
You're a little slow
Sorry,
there.
No, I
Jump
didn't.
in.
So I worked on some of the keeping animal code that didn't get adopted by the Board of Trustees. Just, there were a couple of things that we hadn't talked about in this conversation that did come up with that. One was, do the animals require shelter? And what's the impact on wildlife? Just when you're thinking through this, you might want to think about those 2 factors as well, because it may or may not become relevant.
Okay.
So just wanted to.
Thank
give
you.
that to you. You bet.
Thanks for that info.
Thanks.
Anybody else? I don't mean to cut anybody off. Sorry.
Steve, Mike, it wasn't in vain.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks,
I'll reach out.
Emmett. I appreciate you coming down.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. That was interesting. You know what this comes up, it's just, I agree that temporary use permit, looking at how to adjust that a little bit will be beneficial. What this reminds me of is, you know, when something's never come up before, like can we sell bread, you know, in a box out in front of our house? Is that really going to be, you know, detrimental to the town? And we find a way to fix it, and it you know, opens up opportunities for our residents. So I think that's really good. I'm glad to see us, you know, because then that temporary permit could expand to other uses as well. I think that's something worth looking at that we hadn't considered. Okay, we're going to move back to our regularly scheduled program, and we'll start with item 5.1, the SRU application, The Vault. Britt, would you please present that?
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I messed up.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say,
Gotta
do you
read
have
the
something to
script.
read?
Yep, I almost messed up there. The reason we're doing that out of order was because Attorney Mattson wanted me to have you here so we can read it for everybody here, Commissioner Duggan. We are here tonight for a public hearing on a special review application pursuant to Article 3 of Chapter 16 of the Nederland Municipal Code of the Planning Commission and the Planning Commission bylaws. Before we begin with the public hearing, I would like to provide an outline of the process for this public hearing so that everybody knows what to expect. The hearing will start with a staff presentation presenting the report on this special review application. The Planning Commission will have an opportunity to ask clarifying questions of the staff after the presentation. The applicant will then present on the application to the Planning Commission and the Planning Commission will be able to ask questions to the applicant. Then we will allow for public testimony. The applicant may be permitted to respond to any of the public comment. The Planning Commission will then discuss and deliberate the application. The hearing is now open for the purpose of considering the special review use, SRU, related to the vault. Will Britt please present their report?
Alrighty, so as Chair Reese mentioned, this is consideration of a special review use application for outdoor commercial activity associated with the vault, which is located at 26 South Highway 119. The applicant, Snyder Street Commercial LLC, is requesting approval of a special review use to allow outdoor patio use as a shared commercial space for multiple tenants at the vault, including that eating and drinking. The property owner has provided proof of ownership for the subject property. The property is located in general commercial zoning or zone district under section 16-32C. Outdoor sales, eating and drinking, or other outdoor commercial activities or establishments require a special review use in general commercial zoning. The Vault is a multi-tenant commercial development consisting of 6 locally operated businesses. The proposed outdoor space is intended to function as a common area to support a range of uses, including food and beverage service, small-scale retail, informational booths, and occasional live music. The patio is divided into 2 general areas, a fenced north portion designated for food and beverage service by a brewery tenant, and an open southern portion intended for rotating pop-up retail and community oriented business activities. No structural changes or site modifications are proposed as a part of this application. On the report I have here, I have mapped pictures of the property analysis. So under Netherlands Municipal Code 16-55, a special review use application shall be approved by the Board of Trustees. And then they find to meet the criteria below. 1, the application is eligible for a special review use under 16-32. The proposed outdoor commercial use is located within the general commercial zoning district, where such uses may be permitted through special review use. The application is therefore eligible under this section of code. The use is generally compatible with adjacent land uses. The subject property is located within a commercial area surrounded by similar uses. The proposed patio use supports existing commercial activity and is consistent with the character of the neighborhood. Staff finds the use to be generally compatible with adjacent land uses. 3, the application meets all requirements of section 16-52 and minimizes adverse impacts. The proposal does not include new construction or site alterations. The outdoor use is expected to generate minimal additional noise or visual impacts. The applicant will apply for noise variances where it is needed. It should not involve a heavy increase in traffic or parking demand. Operate within existing approved business hours. Additionally, the site is accessible via public transit and walkable from the surrounding areas, further reducing the potential impacts. 4, the use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The proposed use aligns with the Netherlands Comprehensive Plan by supporting a diverse and sustainable local economy, encouraging infill use of existing commercial properties, and promoting local-owned businesses and employment opportunities. The application is also consistent with the Vision Netherlands 2030 goals related to economic vitality and maintaining community character through appropriately sited commercial activity. The town, 5 is the town has capacity to serve the proposed use with water, sewer, and fire and police protection. The site is an existing developed commercial property currently served by public utilities and emergency services. The proposed outdoor use is an accessory expansion of existing operations and is not expected to significantly increase the service demand. Staff also reached out to police, fire, and staff, and there were no concerns there. And this property did just go through a significant inspection, so we are all lined up there. So questions before, sorry, that should be Planning Commission. Questions before you today is, do you recommend approval of this SRU? And do you recommend imposing any conditions on the application to ensure compliance with 16-55? There are some alternatives here also that you can use. Staff recommendation, based on the information available and the review conducted under 16-55, staff finds that the application generally satisfies the applicable criteria and supports approval of the use. Staff has not identified specific conditions at this time, but defers to the Planning Commission in regards to any additional conditions that should be considered. I have some proposed motions for you, and let me know if you have any questions, and the applicant is here with a lot of support.
Okay, thank you very much, Britt. Any questions, clarifying questions from the Planning Commission? These should be just for the staff. Okay, having seen none, now is the opportunity for whoever the representative is from the vault to come to the podium and give your name and the location address, please. And let's hear your presentation. Hi, Barb.
Hi, Barbara Hart, 245 Apollo Drive, Black Hawk. I think you have all of the information that we gave to the town. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to tell you that we did have our grand opening under a special permit last weekend. Hundreds of people, very, very amazing. The space is incredible. Some of you were there. It's something that's going to contribute to Nederland and to the sales tax generating needed in Nederland for a long time to come. But I think you have everything. We brought everything to you. I'd happy to answer questions though.
Okay. Does the Planning Commission have any questions for the applicant? These should be only clarifying questions on what was presented by the applicant or information reviewed in the packet. This is not the time for debate or discussion.
So I've been at the facility. Alcohol comes from upstairs. It's purchased upstairs. IDs are checked upstairs, then down to the patio.
Correct. We also have a application in from Kitchen at the Vault, who's
Right.
also here tonight for a liquor license, which would also be serving outside in that north patio area. All alcohol will be consumed in the fenced area or inside, very nice, or inside the kitchen dining area.
And it looks like you've already got signage at each exit.
Yes, we have all the signage that we were told about a
Good.
week ago. We have a few signs to put up. We put in some gates per the fire department's request that exit out. And we have to put signs on those saying that they are emergency exits that push out. So
Okay.
we do have a few things to do that we have. We just haven't put them up yet.
Yeah, I compared it to another establishment that has similar outside area. It looks like you've ticked the boxes, most of them so far, and you got the rest in your sights.
Definitely.
Okay.
And the state's requirements are much more stringent than
Very
ours.
stringent,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So other questions for Barb? No? Okay. Now is the time for public testimony. Thanks, Barb. I will ask for the public in favor of the application to speak first. Then I will ask for public comment that is against the applicant. Last, we will take public comment that is neutral about the project. Individual speakers are each given 3 minutes to speak. We will have a timekeeping system. I don't think I need to say all that. Okay, whoever would like to come up first, please, and speak in favor of this application, please come up and give your name and you will have name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
So Jeffrey Green, 523 Aspen Lane, Black Hawk, Colorado, but I own the Very Nice Brewing Company. And 13 years ago, I was here in this room, different cast of characters with the Board of Trustees, talking about, the brewery that I proposed and why it wasn't going to be. And this was the concern at the time, similar to a lot of the places in town at the time, which were contributing to a lot of shenanigans, I guess is the word. And so we did what we did with the promise that we wouldn't be contributing to shenanigans. And that was almost 14 years ago. And of course, most of you know that our original site burned down. We're right across the street. But I'm proud to say, and of course I can't predict the future, but I'm proud to say that we never had one single problem with police or anything like that that had to do with over-serving. My wife and I are extremely vigilant about that. We look for a lot of maturity in our beer tenders. And yeah, I just would basically stand on our record that we're very, very cognizant of alcohol and what it can do and responsible consumption of. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Next person, just come right on up if there's anybody else. We won't bite. Okay. No, all right.
Trina Harms, 459 West 3rd, Netherland. When the shopping center, when Very Nice and Tres Gringos extended their places at the shopping center, it not only gave them more opportunity for income revenue, but it was nice to see people out on the streets and be able to talk to people. I felt like it really added to the community. And I feel like the community kind of polices itself as well, in making sure that things are going the way they're supposed to and not taking beer out. And I've seen people tell other people not to take beer out. So I think it's a good for the numbers and just appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you, Katrina. Is there anybody online that would like to speak in favor of the application? Please let yourself be known. Anybody there, Britt?
There is, but they're not speaking up.
Okay. Is there anybody in the room that is against this application? Now would be the time to come forward and give your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes. Or online. No raised hands online there, Brett?
No raised hands.
Okay. All right. Having heard none, I will ask if there's anybody who would like to speak about the application who is neutral. Okay. Having heard and seen none, I will then close the public comment. Let's see. Actually, I better read this right from the thing. At this point, there should only, let's see, I will be closing the public hearing. At this point, there should only be discussion and deliberation and no questions or well, we kind of skipped that. Last chance, if you have any questions for the applicant, this is your last chance, then we're going to discuss it. I do. Okay. Could you come back up, Barb? Go ahead.
I've been to both facilities. I wanted to compare from the former place that has burned to this one. It seems like this one is a lot more secure than what we had at the shopping center, right?
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that it was really clearly outlined where people could or could not be. We also have a lot more security in the building itself, including ADT security surrounding the entire thing inside and outside. So we can absolutely know when anything is going on.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
How's parking situation?
Parking was great even during the grand opening. We didn't have any issues. We still have a few Ace Hardware people that park there early in the day. We seem to kind of have a good agreement with them. We didn't have any overflow. Some of us do park off-site. We have one space for each tenant, so there are 6 tenants. We have one space reserved on the property for each tenant, and other than that, we park off-site. In front of the Black Forest is definitely a popular area to park. Also, quite a few of us park over at the Mountaineer because we're not open on the weekends when it's busy. So we have a plan of where we can be to make space for the people that are going to come spend money.
Okay, good. That's good. I will tell you that I went in and checked it out right after it opened, and then passing it this weekend. What a night and day difference. Seeing, tons of people out there
Isn't it
having a
great?
good time. And I think you're right. Or Katrina's right about the outdoor
Mhm.
sales. As you're driving by through town, and then suddenly, man, there's something going on over there. Let me go check it out. So
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think it's going to be good for the community. Everything in there is really nice and clean. And as long as there's no problems, I think and proactively addressing them. I personally don't see any issues with
And
this.
I'll second that. I live up on Spring Street and after the fire, but even before that, just after the pandemic, there's been kind of a muted tone all around town. I'm sure everybody here has noticed that.
Mhm.
And I unfortunately couldn't come to the grand opening, but I drove past it. And man, it was good to see that kind of vibrancy again. Like
Good work.
it was really fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I want to thank you also I know that you put in months and months and months of hard work and the group in here, everybody, all the tenants to make that happen. So I thank you guys for doing the hard work and reopening in our community instead of just closing down and saying, well, that's that. What am I going to do? Initially when they talked about the bank becoming what it is, I had doubts. So it's really wonderful to see what it's become. Any other comments before we come to deliberation for the applicant?
One more comment. I think the contrast between what happened last week on the west side of the street versus the cleanup finally on the east side of the street was a passing of the guard. I think it was symbolic. It was a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will close the public portion and we will bring it back for deliberation within the Planning Commission. So at this time, if you have questions for Britt or comments, we could just go around. We might just cut to the chase and see how people are feeling about this. Is there anybody that has any heartache about approving this tonight or issues?
No, I gotta say, the way you prepared the aim, you just went through each of the criteria. And it spells it out pretty clearly. And the recommendation is unambiguous. So I'm really comfortable.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, I think this is good, and this is going to be a record. I've been on the Planning Commission for 8 years, and in the last 6 months, this will be the second SRU. We'll wait until after the vote that may or may not get through in one night, which I have never, ever seen.
Don't jinx it.
At this time, I will propose a motion. I move to recommend approval for the SRU application and associated SRU agreement for the vault. The application meets the criteria under Chapter 16-55.
Second.
All righty. Commissioner Dye,
Yes.
Commissioner Pinzner,
Yes.
Commissioner Glasser,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mahol,
Yes.
Commissioner Duggan,
Yes.
Chair Reese.
Yes.
All righty.
Motion passes.
Motion passes, and just for an update for your team, which I'll get in contact with you, because of the 15-day noticing, this will take place on June 16 with the Board of Trustees. So you'll see an email from me tonight. But yeah, I will send you the invite and it will be the same setting as what we're doing now.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate all the good stuff you're doing over there. And thanks for kind of keeping our town alive with, keeping these businesses going.
For those that haven't been there, go in and try the Nook upstairs. It's really a neat place to meet people.
It's far out. Okay. You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
guys. Moving on to the next discussion item, which will be 6.2, 751 West 4th Street Residential Project. Britt, would you please present that?
Absolutely. So I kept it pretty short. I'll let the applicants do most of the talking. But this property is at 751 West 4th Street, which is currently the trailer park, mobile home park area. The zoning district is medium density residential. The lot size is 20,000, 37.6 square feet. So approximately 0.46 acres. Just some background, this is currently operating as a trailer park / mobile home within the town of Netherland. Historical records contained in town correspondence and utility documentation indicate that the property has been recognized by the town as an approved mobile home park for several decades. A town of Netherland clarification letter dated August 20th, 2014 states that the property is recognized as an approved mobile home park with room for 5 mobile manufactured homes, according to town's property and zoning records. The letter further notes that 4 permanently sited mobile homes are occupying the property at this time, and that there are 4 water taps and 4 sewer taps used to support those homes. The letter also indicates that a 5th home would require an additional water / sewer tap and associated investment fees. Additionally, historical records from June 14th, 2002 indicate that the utility billing for the property was based on 5 permanent units and 2 to 3 temporary units. Historical town Miranda, sorry, I never say that word, from 1980 to 1880 or 1982 further reference the operation of the property as Jerry Ward's trailer park and discuss water and sewer billing policies associated with trailer parks in the town of Netherland. These documents indicate that the property historically contained permanent mobile homes along with trailer spaces for temporary occupancy. A zoning analysis, again, this is this is medium density residential. And is intended to accommodate residential and related uses at a suburban residential densities. The uses allowed within this zone are in section 16-32. Those being single family dwellings, duplex dwellings, accessory use dwellings, home occupations. Certain uses may be allowed through special review use upon approval. Uses not identified as permitted or special reviewed within the area are prohibited. Mobile home trailer park considerations, again, there is documentation that this has been approved as a trailer park. And then for your attachments, there is a survey, a draft site plan, and the owner's narrative. So kept it short and simple. This really, the intent of this is, the owner has been working with Matt here, Mark, sorry, I'm sorry. I've had so many M's that I'm talking to lately. On kind of developing this and is just looking to present it to you, just kind of see some thoughts or questions that might come up from this process. So that's really all I have for you right now.
Okay. Is there questions for the staff before the
Yeah.
applicant?
Yeah, are you, from what we're gonna hear shortly, is there gonna be proposed, is it gonna require rezoning or anything? Or are we even there yet?
No, it wouldn't require rezoning. Based on the number of units,
I think an SRU would.
it would be an SRU or some kind of PUD is what this would end up looking like. That the applicants would have to go through in order because of the amount of homes in this structure.
Because it does not meet the yard. and
It's
bulk
not
right
going to
now.
meet the yard and bulk requirements for
Got it.
medium density.
Okay,
So there would need to be some kind of approval or process for this.
okay, we're in the early innings.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So this is
How long have you been kind of working on this, Britt?
So
It's been like an ongoing.
yeah, I was gonna say, and Rasham's been coming to town staff, I don't know, for a while now.
Mhm.
Yeah, at least 6 months. I think we've kind of been talking about it a little over that of what could be done in the past, especially with the childcare center. There has been, the neighbors originally, that area was kind of looked at for housing or some type of, mixed housing, something along the area. I think at this point, Rasham is ready to kind of clean it up and, see what more can be done there. There's kind of been issues with it that they've had. And so, yeah, we've kind of been working with her on what could it look like, is there an interest in keeping it on market rate or anything along that? And so really just early discussions, but I think Rasham's at the point where she's going to have to invest some money. And so she just wanted to present it and just kind of get some thoughts and questions asked their way that they may not be thinking of right now.
Okay.
Good, let's do it.
Mhm.
Other questions for the staff? Clarifying questions? I would just say that Britt, if this comes back, it would be good for us to kind of know what the requirement, the yard and bulk impacts would be, if this came at a later time,
Okay.
and the staff's. take on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. As they're presenting, I might actually be able to get that specific information
That would
for
be
you.
very helpful. Okay, at this time then, I'll open it up have the applicant come forward, whoever is going to present on this issue, and give us your name and address and give us your presentation.
Yeah, for the record, my name is Matthew Stackpole, 169 Willie's Lane, Rollinsville. And yeah, here to present, really just a schematic site study on the behalf of the property owners. I've been working with the owners as a architectural representative, helping sort through land use studies on various scales. And this is what we've sort of landed on. In reviewing what the town's housing needs might look like over the next few years, we feel this is a nice sort of middle ground to start to push some of these housing needs that the town has. Whether we actually involve affordable housing in this is part of this discussion with you guys. But we're looking at sort of a workforce housing kind of style complex here, something to afford housing for teachers, workers at Eldora, whether they're workers at the Vault. But obviously the town has a sustainability need with housing, and we're looking to help fulfill that with this proposal. So
That microphone, get closer to the microphone.
I'm
please.
sorry. And so at the,
Towards you a little bit.
yeah, so at the current time, we're, proposing a 16-unit apartment building. It'd be a 2-story above ground facility, all surface parking. And at this point in time, we would be looking for a reduction in parking requirements, as well as an increase in land use density and bedroom counts. So we realize this is an ambitious request and proposal. However, this is what we're bringing for constructive discussion at this point in time. And we welcome your feedback and questions. And so,
Okay, anybody else with your group that has anything to present, or?
you got it all.
Okay,
I've got some additional information I'd be happy to share, but I'd be
we'd like to hear it all.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
So you asked about some land use kind of densities.
Mhm.
I can suggest, or
You can
Kinda-
also, if you want to join the meeting or if you want me to, we can share screen if you do want to put anything up there. Up
Okay.
to you.
so this is part of a slide you already have. In the project information, I've just labeled some lot areas and floor areas. And, we've got, an open space current, well, the lot area on the site is 19,000, almost 20,000 square feet. We're looking to have almost 63% of that maintained as open space with on-site parking and landscape areas, as well as public walkways, as well as private walkways. So our lot coverage for the building footprint is at 36%, which to me seems to be quite in line with, medium density housing counts in other municipalities. we're proposing 16 units. They're 2-bedroom units. So 1 plus bedroom, so we'd be looking at a total of probably 32 bedrooms on site. And this starts to fulfill hopefully some mixed use or mixed income needs where these units, some of the units would be small enough to be single family or single bedroom with sort of an on-site study or office for, home and remote office use, as well as then some of these units would be large enough to be full 2-bedroom units. Obviously, all bedrooms would be egressable and with adequate accessibility, and all living spaces would meet building code requirements for habitable building space. So, yeah.
Okay, okay. Anybody have questions for Matthew at this time?
Yeah, how many square feet total in the 16 units?
So with the 16 units, we're looking at a total floor area total of around 14,500 square feet.
Okay. And then from, obviously Fifth Street is now closed, so traffic, and with the school there, traffic is going to come in on Fourth Street and turn right to go to the school. So to get to your property, they come down Fourth Street, right?
They would either be coming off Peak to Peak up Fourth to Griffith to
Uh-huh.
make a right towards the main access to the school is they've got their drop off there on Griffith Street. And so, yeah, we'd be looking for, and basically the way this is laid out, if you look at the slide, is that when you come off of Peak to Peak Highway, we've tried to maintain parking, on-site parking on the 2 north-south exposed streets, so on
Right.
Griffith and Colson,
Uh-huh.
leaving Fourth Street more of as a green sort of corridor. So when you come off Peak to Peak, you see more greenscape and just street on-site or on-street parallel parking with public walkway and yeah, green space separation there. So.
Okay. A question for you, both sides. You've been working together for several months on this. If you had to make adjustments based on your feedback,
From the staff.
so there's been some interaction already.
Yes. Yeah, we've met a few times and he's made some changes based on feedback from the owners and then just feedback from staff. I did want to add from kind of what Chair Reese was saying. So medium density residential typically requires 8,000 square feet per dwelling unit.
Right.
So technically on a lot this size, typically you're seeing about 2.5 in a structure aspect. However, there is that essentially that section for dwelling units or more is an R3, which means in this instance, it's more than 6 units. So it'd go through that PUD process just to kind of lay that out there.
Right.
But yes, to answer your questions, we've had some back and forth and I think there's been a couple changes of like, we'd love to see this, but let's, based on building and kind of owner feedback, Matt's made a lot of
Does,
adjustments.
as you've looked at that, does that seem like that's compatible, that large a building, 16 units is compatible with that area? Or do we need to look at that a little farther down the line?
I mean, I'm constantly getting we need more housing. And so I think for me, probably just walking maybe the property with him and kind of seeing those yard in bulk or like, the setbacks in the front stuff, just visually seeing those
Yeah.
would be more helpful for me. I mean, as always, I think as long as we have, some buy-in from the neighbors, because there's going to be the parking, and just kind of, asking for those parking requirements, we're going to need to have, just think about where that's going, what
Yeah.
we're doing. That's kind of something we've been talking about of like, make the ask is essentially what I always say to everyone, go propose what you want to propose.
Yeah.
And kind of work from there. And so I think that would be the main things I'm seeing is just what language, where are we pointing them, where are we sending
Okay.
those extra cars?
And when we were zoning 750, the next door neighbor, when we polled the neighbors at the time, what they really said they wanted was housing.
Housing.
And they're willing to do denser housing in concordance with our housing study and our comprehensive plan. One of the recommendations is we needed new housing types. And this technically is that, right?
It sure
Yeah.
is. We don't
Okay.
have many apartments in our town.
So on a similar note, and I know this is just in the beginning phases of design and all of that, but has there been any community outreach to neighbors and such? Do you have any feedback from them yet?
There has been little, well, reach out just to a couple of the local neighbors, and that's about it.
I would encourage, that would, just like I did with the first person I mean, if people know you, Rashawn, go start knocking on some doors and letting them know what you got. Because if you got somebody who's going to come and start squawking, better to find out early, who's going to have a problem and start trying to figure out how to work with them. I'm going to tell you, we need housing. I was, 2 years ago, we went through the housing study. We are over 100 housing units short. I think it's 120 for our town right now. And so, I think that, in my opinion, only, that we need to start thinking outside of what we typically have had for Nederland for the housing needs. Typically in the past, apartment complexes have been something that people have not been interested in seeing in our town. But when the needs become this great, as you know, right next door, that was designated for 10 plus years as a affordable housing, but there wasn't any opportunity for that to be built. And so now we got the second biggest need we needed was childcare, and that's going up. And I'm happy to see that's happening. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of negotiation there. I think the more affordable housing units you guys are willing to put in, and have a little more skin in the game, the more the town is going to try and work with you on stuff. But parking is going to be an issue. I'm going to tell you right now that getting the reduction on parking requirements is going to end up being, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, that it won't happen, but we've done that before in the past. But as you know, everywhere in town, parking is an issue. And so if you have, what would you think? 2 cars per unit, that's 32 cars. And you put a building that big on that plot, do you already know what kind of reduction in parking requirements you were going to be asking for?
Yes, I do. And it's somewhat drastic. However, I'd like to make comment that local municipalities such as the city of Longmont, as well as the city of Boulder, have been looking to reduce their parking requirements instead of increase them. I just recently had a permitted 8-unit apartment complex approved in the city of Longmont, where they required us to reduce our parking counts to 1.5 parking spaces per unit, not 2. And this is the first time in my 30 years of doing this that I've actually experienced this. So I actually look forward to more conversation about this. However, I realize it's a volatile situation. Parking is required. People have cars and overflow. They have items, bikes, carriages, other gear. However, we are close to the major municipal transit center in town, walking distance. And I'd like to make this known that we would like to make this sort of a feasibility element of this site, that it is a walkable site. It probably scores above 90 on a walkability level for municipal walking sites. And so I'd like to encourage staff as well as the board of trustees and board of planning board.
Well, we're
to
just
look
going
at
to
this, right? Yeah.
need you to
And
kind of
so-
present how
Yeah.
it will work, how it'll look,
Yeah.
because right now I've been over in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's not really, street parking is not real good. It's all dirt roads.
Yeah, and so we're only suggesting that street parking would be located on 4th, the main road there. And if you look at the slide, I actually show a dashed line where the approximate edge of asphalt is located. And that is pretty much right in line with the green landscape strip that I have located between the 5-foot public walk and the parallel parking area. So we could always push parallel parking closer to the property line of the site. However, I think having that green buffer space between pedestrian use and car parking is a vital element of, landscape planning as well as urban landscape planning. So, as well as just the walkability, as you're a pedestrian, you'd much rather walk amongst a green space than brushing up against dirty cars or you know, where cars and bumpers might be conflicting with your space. So,
Yeah,
Um,
you've got, right now, there's, you have 5 trailers plus 3, no, yeah, is it 5 trailers right now?
5 trailers, each of them having accessory exterior storage sheds.
Right.
I have a number there on
But yeah, I've been
floor.
thinking in terms of parking, so there's 5
Mhm.
plus 3 temporaries, and somehow everything gets parked.
I have this shared up here just in case you can't see
Yeah,
it.
they also have the numerous RV spots on the east end of
Mhm.
the lot, which are
Right.
requiring.
So now, I'm not saying that,
No, I know.
that we are not gonna be able to work with you. I'm just saying that that's gonna be one of the stickier points to try and figure out. So,
Agreed.
we
agreed.
definitely want to see you bring this forward because, you know, as we've said repeatedly, we really need housing in town. I hope you will be able to figure out, you know, agreement through the PUD process and working with town, you know, for affordable units as well. But even if it's just workforce housing, we desperately need that. You know, so, you know, I just don't know what it's going to look like yet until we see a full packet and we can start evaluating, you know, what the ask is, you know, what it is you're asking for, you know, the reductions in the code requirements.
Yeah.
Britt,
and-
on the water side, you mentioned the tap, but
Mhm.
did town do upgrades for water, sewer and electricity because of the development next door already? Have we brought the capability in the neighborhood up from where it used to be?
I think there is now a full circle. I have to double check with Andrew. I know there's been a lot of work over there with
Yeah.
that.
A lot.
Yeah, so I think it's been brought up. Something I did just want to mention, because this is kind of their first step,
Mhm.
is what we've done in the past, which I haven't talked to you guys about yet, is there's always the option too to like go to the library, like rent out the library room and maybe invite some of those neighbors so you guys aren't doing door to door. And happy to be there. That's something we've done in the past for commercials to get that feedback. So we're getting multiple levels of feedback to keep it kind of moving forward.
Yeah, and that'd be something I'd love to be part of. I've actually been requesting that for the last few months, that we actually bring this to the public that will be initially affected by this proposal. I've been part of many BOZA projects down in the city of Boulder, as well as across the United States. Whether that matters or not is incoherent. But yes, I think the public interaction is much needed in a proposal like this.
Are there residents currently in the trailer parks now, and how are they impacted?
What will it be gone? They'll
Yeah.
remove those trailers.
Yes, there are residents that live on site. The goal is to probably work with them for their future housing needs. Obviously, these people are closely related to the owner's current businesses, their use, and would not like to see them, you know, negatively affected or impacted by this proposal. So
You haven't had any pushback in terms of displacement of those individuals?
No, most of the individuals that like live are tenants of like our employees, so we'd probably work to maybe get them and like relocated to some of our other locations.
That's great. I hadn't even considered that. Thank you, Commissioner Pensinger. Any other questions for the applicant?
Yes. You'd mentioned that there'd been some challenges with the existing use in the trailer park. Could you speak a little bit more to those, just to help us understand the current situation?
let me bring the property owner.
If you go to any of the Boulder Sheriff's reports, you will also see anything that's happened within the trailer park as well,
Okay.
but I'll let Rashawn speak to the rest because we've been working together a lot.
Okay, thank you, Rochelle.
Hold that down to you there.
My name is Rasham, and I live 104 Sundan Circle. And I've been talking with cleaning up this mobile house parking, talking with Brittany probably over 6 months. And there is, you will be happy to cleaning up that mobile house, I'm sure, all the town people. And there is 5 mobile house, but one is completely empty. It's like I have the, I mean, it's clean up. I'm just waiting for the destroy the house and make sure everything's approvable. One lives my family who work there, and number 2, they live there. And one Emmy lives there, 3 mobile houses, and one is around Mitchell's. He rents with somebody's, and I don't want that one. And that's that. And everybody, I've been telling them is I'm working with this, and you have to just let you know, and they knows I'm working with this project. They knows, and we have to do something if we prove this project. They knows that, and also I want to talk about Brittany said is the 4 water taps, but I pay now is 7 water bills. I don't know what is that.
I
Is
can
that-
double check and make sure we have the correct
Yes,
information.
we have
Yeah.
5 mobile house,
Mhm.
and I pays the water
bills.
bills
Mhm.
for the 3 RV site.
Mhm.
And there is 8 water I pays even people is not there, I pay the mobile house is empty, I pay the water bills, and there the RV is not there, and I pay the water bills. And I just let you know, and anything else you wanna know?
And just
until-
to speak to it more, we've had, Rasham and I have had to work together a lot. There's been a lot of code enforcement complaints. She's had trouble with some of the tenants being very hostile to
Yeah,
the individuals that help her clean it up. There has been, Boulder Sheriff has been very active in that area. And so there, yeah, there's been a lot of
Yeah.
issues that have
yeah,
kind of given Rasham a hard time that
Yeah.
we've kind of had to tackle together as
Yeah.
staff and working with her on what's safe for the individuals cleaning it up and, how do we get it compliant?
Well, I promise you, the parents dropping their kids off next door would much more
Oh.
appreciate a nice, clean
Yes.
apartment building with this nice greenscape here. So, my feedback is I would love to see more. I would love to see this come back. But the sticking point is going to be the discussions that you talked about. It's going to be trying to figure out where we could work with you because, I think if there was no issue with parking and tap fees and stuff like that, this would probably sail through. I don't know for sure. But I feel like everybody in town realizes that housing is a critical need for our community and that so many people are driving up here, working and driving 45 minutes an hour down below. So I hope that you do pursue this and continue it. And I could just tell you that, I believe the planning commission will try to work with you, and I think the BOT will too, and the town as much as possible. There's some things that we can't do. I'm not going to ask. Initially I said, I'd like to, what's your number on park? I don't want to know until you're ready to bring that packet back and we could start getting down to the nuts and bolts on the parking. But I would just love to see that come forward, even if it isn't affordable, but we desperately need affordable housing units too. We need any kind of housing at this point that isn't $3,000 a month, and I hope that's not going to be the price point.
that's why we are here is asking, please, what we can do,
Yeah. Other
Um,
feedback? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna help maybe just, so can we clarify the parking numbers?
Yeah, let me just.
So maybe
provide those
that's
numbers.
something we can continue to work on.
Yeah, so currently, the parking count for on-site, we've got standard 11 on-site standard parking spaces. 2 would be ADA van accessible spaces, which would be allocated and reserved spaces for what we're currently considering 2 ground level accessible, ADA accessible units on site.
So 11 spaces total with 2 of them being
So
ADA?
So 11 standard parking
Oh, 11
spaces,
standard, okay.
2 ADA van accessible spaces, and then so that would only be 13 on site, but then we've got 8 designated parallel parking spaces along 4th Street.
Okay.
5 of which are standard, 3 are oversized, meaning 22 to 25-foot long parallel parking spaces. So somebody could park a big truck versus a Prius.
And then to confirm for them, are those within town right away where that would require some kind of
That-
agreement or
That
on
would
property?
that would be in the right of way, yes.
So that would require some kind of agreement with streets, just to make clarification for you all.
That would come up during the PUD. Okay. Well, I wasn't going to pin you down to it, but Brittany wanted
I
to.
just want, just think, because he might,
I've
they
got
will
it, I
need to
put it down, it's there.
Yeah, they will need to rework you know, again, that what we don't want to do here is say, I love this project, it's never going to work, things like that. What we do want to do is kind of, you know, if you have specific questions that we can kind of work through this feedback, I just, in order for them to bring you something, right now, this is what they're bringing you. And so I'm just trying to make sure that I get those little tidbits for them so they can adjust the plans, to kind of get that feedback from the public and stuff as well. So, and then just a reminder, how many units did you say there were?
So currently, we're proposing 16 total units,
Okay.
8 on each floor.
And they're all 2 bedrooms is what you said?
Yes.
Do you have a square footage on what each one of those apartments would be?
Yeah, typical unit is around 880. We've got a couple that are at 1,100 square feet. So
Okay.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, but can we get feedback on if there's, with these parking spaces and the number of units you guys are seeing, should there be more rework from their side on maybe less units, more parking? Are we allowed to ask questions like that? I'm just trying to help feed this conversation. If
It
that
just seems
makes
we're
sense.
so preliminary that we're negotiating before we even start.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather see some more info. I
Okay,
will tell you that,
that's helpful.
that well, let's just do it this way. Is there anybody here that has serious concerns about, this project? If so, please,
I don't think we're allowed to.
oh, we're not
ask
allowed to say
kind of
that. That's
question.
right. Thank you. You're right. Thank you. Thank you for putting me back on track here. I will tell you that we need more housing in our community, and I'll leave it at that. We need more housing in the town, and I feel like that this commission is willing to try and work with you as much as we can. We can't promise anything, but we need more housing.
Do you, Britt, do
Did
you have
you
the
hear me say
guidance?
that? We need more housing.
Do you have the guidance you need?
Yeah, really what I think from here is, you know, kind of the biggest thing that we're always gonna hear from the planning commission is talking to those neighbors. So, you know, really thinking about renting out that library room, happy to show you how to do it. Happy to be there to, you know, answer any of those like technical questions people might have from town staff. I think that would be probably really good next steps, and continue working on this. And I guess let me know when you're ready to come back.
Good.
So,
Thank you so much. I hope this comes to fruition in some form soon, because again, we need housing. Thanks for showing. Thanks,
Thank you,
Matthew.
guys.
can I ask one additional
Sure.
element here, not
Mhm.
to extend this any or prolong this? However, the SRU application asks for very limited amount of qualifying information, submittables, documents, plans, yada, yada, visuals. A project like this, would you guys still look at just a site plan to move a project like this forward? Because that's all the SRU asks for is a site
yeah,
plan.
so this actually, now with the number of units, we're moving closer to a PUD.
Yeah, I think it
Um,
is for sure. A
okay.
PUD.
Yes, just with kind of where we're getting at with this. There is a preliminary application approval. And it is essentially asking for a preliminary development plan. So boundary sizes, adjacent land uses, existing topical character, of the land contour, proposed land use, in respect to acreage, the character development, the proposed number of units, location of proposed streets, bicycle, pedestrian paths, location of the size, areas of potential hazard such as 100-year floodplain, rock slides, anything along that line. A written statement, which you kind of have done tonight. So that's really like that preliminary. And then you would go to your final application. We have had applicants in the past ask for a variance to go to the final. The final has a final plan illustration, more boundaries, a lot more. So we could take either route, and I'll send you that language. It's still, again, the preliminary is very similar to kind of that SRU. It's just very kind of basic. And then that final gets in a lot more in depth. So I'll make sure to send you.
More
both
details
those
up
things.
front is always better in
Of course.
getting approval.
Yeah, and of course, that's
Yeah.
my task. However, the burden of financial, um, you know,
there's a reason we
upfront is-
still need
yeah.
housing in
Yep,
town. It's
yep.
expensive.
Yeah, so I'm just looking to clarify maybe a little bit what our scope of work might be from my point of view, as well as the owner's expectations of what I'm going to be providing for them to put in front of you guys. So that was just
My guidance would
Happy
be
to
work
meet
with,
again to go this
yeah.
more in depth, if that's
Yeah,
helpful.
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Related question, do you feel like you have a clear understanding of what the SRU process is
It's a PUD process. We
Yeah,
gotta go with the
Yeah, no,
PUD.
no, I just,
compared to what the PUD process is?
I am, yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Sorry.
And I've been part of multiple 100-unit PUDs and.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks so much for bringing
Thank you.
this forward. We look forward to the ribbon cutting at some point in the future.
Yes, thank you very much for your time.
Sure, I wasn't supposed to say that.
We're learning. Yes, sounds good. Please reach out, yeah.
Okay. In case anybody had any doubt, we need housing. Yeah, just wanted to be sure I hammered that home. That ends our, oh no, I'm sorry, 6.3. We have another discussion item, ADU compliance. Britt, could you please lead us through that?
Absolutely. So tonight I am once again bringing you ADU state compliance amendments. I brought our ordinance to DOLA just to give you some background, and there was some oversight on their end. We originally, they thought we were in compliance. However, for our ADU minimum lot size requirements, we are not. So I'm going to explain that to you tonight. So following the adoption of ordinance 888, amending section 16-33, DOLA has identified additional provision that was missed in the initial review. The current code language applies that the minimum lot size requirement of the underlying zoning district to both the primary dwelling unit and the accessory dwelling unit. This effectively results in a larger minimum lot size requirement for the properties with an ADU than for a single unit detached dwelling. State law listed there, the number, prohibits local governments from applying a more restrictive minimum lot size standard for ADUs than is required for a single unit detached dwelling unit in the same zoning district. While the issue was not identified during the initial review process, an amendment to section 16-33 will be necessary to clarify the minimum lot size requirement applies per lot and not per dwelling unit in order to achieve full compliance. So our next steps would be to draft code amendment, preparing an amendment to that section 16-33. The minimum lot size requirement applies to the lot as a whole and not per dwelling unit. The presence of an accessory dwelling unit shall not increase the minimum lot size requirement beyond that of a single unit detached dwelling unit in the same zone. 2 would be revise that conflicting language. So identify and remove or modify any language that implies the lot size requirements for multiple dwelling units on a single lot. We would coordinate with our town attorney, Jennifer, to confirm that the revised language meets statutory requirements and does not create unintended regulatory conflicts. And then amendment would be brought to you all to show that summary and the consistence. And we would have a public hearing with public notices to the Board of Trustees. This is something that I had brought to the Planning Commission before. It's really for those ADUs that per dwelling unit. Now, to give you reference, medium density residential, which we were just talking about, requires 8,000 square feet per lot, per structure, or per dwelling unit. A ADU and a single family home are considered 2 dwelling units. So now that requires 16,000 square feet, which is where we are not compliant. So again, something to remember, just because someone can do an ADU, they now don't have this restriction of meeting the 16,000, does not mean they cannot meet those requirements of the front, side, rear setbacks. So there's still a lot of restriction in regards to this. Town doesn't have very many acre lots. Most of these lots barely meet the minimum lot size. and their structures that are currently on them barely meet the yard and bulk requirements. If at all, yeah, some of them are not within the requirements, that we have listed in
And
our.
how is that
code.
being enforced or compliance expected?
A structure is only enforced to come into compliance when someone demos that structure. Really additions that would have to go through an entire process. So if your home right now, for instance, didn't meet the yard and bulk standards, it's almost in a sense like grandfathered in. So I really can't enforce anything until those major projects happen, which when someone does demo a structure, they're then not allowed to use that foundation that was there before. So it has to be a whole new foundation, everything. And it's just a lot of these homes, some of them were built before we had some of these requirements.
Yeah, I think
So-
Roger told me that most of these came into being in 84. So
Correct.
anything built before 84, there was no
Yep.
requirement.
Yeah, and so some of these lot lines when they were made, then might have put a house like right on the edge. So anything new that it's built or anytime someone decides to do a completely different structure or decides to put like a detached garage, they are required to meet those yard and bulk setbacks. That's something that I review. And then Safe Built does additional building code reviews. Fire gets involved in the review. But unfortunately, like I said, there's just no compliance to structures that are already there until they start making those changes. So, I'm happy to clarify. I know in the past there was, some kind of concern around like, are all these ADUs going to pop up? One, it's very expensive. You have an additional PIF and tap fee when you do a detached ADU. Which is about 65K right now for those PIF fees. And then on top of that, most of the lots that are within town are pretty significantly small. As I was saying, don't meet yard and bulk standards. Really the people that could benefit from this, and I've only had like probably one individual approach me, is your mountain residential that are getting close to that have that 1 acre and have the ability to put an ADU on and provide that additional housing. They're running into the fact that they can't because this code language requires them to do 2 acres.
Could I ask a clarifying
Yeah.
question?
Mhm.
Is it currently legal for people to be short-term Airbnb-ing places that are operating as an ADU, but having those individuals use the primary structure for their water and bathroom needs? So like what would essentially be a
No,
shed or a garage?
yeah, so any dwelling unit requires you to have a kitchen and a bathroom in order to be considered a legal like accessory dwelling unit or a dwelling structure at all. I do believe, let me double check, but I don't think ADUs can have short-term rental. I believe it's only primary structures.
And how is that
Hey.
enforced?
Did you want to add something before I answer that?
There are some allowed ADUs that can have a short-term rental license on it. I was actually
Okay.
just looking at that today with Macy. And also the ADUs are within the cap of the 70 STR licenses in the town.
So would it require complaints or reports for that to be enforced?
Yeah, so currently anything that has a license, Macy yearly, there's some kind of like compliance reapplication. She has software that picks up anyone that is not compliant. It'll let us know of those listings that are up so we can reach out to an individual. Yes, if someone this is kind of how code enforcement works in general, unless I visually see it or my code enforcement officer does. If someone, you can either come into town hall and there's a form you can fill out and you can choose to be anonymous, but we do like to have it in writing, or you can choose to provide your name because again, all of these complaints are core requestable. That's kind of where myself and our code enforcement officer start our investigation. That's typically how we operate here, just because it is really just one town staff member and one kind of like part-time code enforcement officer. So we really only hit section by section each week that he's here. And then complaints.
That sounds great.
Yep.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if there are any operating, again, you can always reach out to me. I can give you Cameron's information. But Macy is really good, I will say, about, we've had a lot of people actually drop short-term rentals, some people that are just not finding use of it. There is that primary element, like there are requirements on having that short-term rental that you must have some kind of voter registration or something showing that you live in town.
None of this applies to just like word of mouth use of things in an improper
Correct.
or illegal way.
Yes, yes, yeah. So anything like that, really just, if there is stuff like that going on, just bringing it to my attention so I can get Safe Build involved. That's really,
There's definitely
Yeah.
been sheds rented out in this community.
yes,
I know that for a fact. So we need housing. I'll
yes.
say that again.
Yeah.
So what's the next steps with this, Britt?
Yeah, so next steps really are just, I was letting you all know, I would love direction, that I can move forward with Jennifer on drafting this. Again, I don't know how much wiggle room is here. I can say from a staff perspective, with the amount of lots that I'm looking at daily and the amount of people that are approaching me, the concerns that the planning commission has brought up in the past, our yard and bulks are in most of these areas are still like 35 feet back. There's still, a fire code. There's still a certain amount that you have to be away from your home. I do feel like we have enough in place that, has been done in the past by the planning commission and the board, that I don't see this huge influx of ADUs. I do see this opening us up to being a little bit more ADU friendly, and the people that do have the finances to have these ADUs and provide it and want to work with town staff and, you know, have good intentions, you know, I'd love to see this move forward. This is something, again, I brought up in the past, but now DOLA is saying we're not compliant. And so this just kind of reiterates what I saw from that previous.
What's the consequences of us not coming in compliance?
We no longer have access to those Prop 123 funds, with DOLA. I'm not sure if there's more beyond that, Jennifer. Isn't there like a state component to this too, or no?
Not really. I mean, I think that, you know, Britt does mention the Prop 123. There may at some point be some other grants that the town is applying for, and the state would look at compliance related to this issue, but I think it's really just these grants.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't need to vote. Just nod ahead. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any feedback or questions for Britt on this?
If we're non-compliant, according to DOLA, is something we're gonna have to deal with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not, and there is, I think the quicker we get back into compliance, the better.
Yeah, and they did, I did want to mention, they did, again, tell me they provided us, we get 120 days every time they respond. They did say this was an oversight on their behalf. This was not a staff or attorney oversight. When they find these kind of compliance things that they're looking for, they ask that staff explains what the interpretation of code is. And the way that I interpreted it to them, somebody just interpreted it differently. Somebody else picked it up as they were going through our ordinance and said, oh no, the way she's interpreting it is not in compliance. And so this was just an oversight, you know, unfortunate, but it's, I think, a very easy amendment. It can be, you know, we can either bring it as a draft or we can do it like last time where we just go ahead and bring it as an action item and you guys can choose to push it if you're not comfortable at the next meeting. I just need to know that perspective from a public noticing. That would really be it.
How, if you're gonna just do the draft, it's gonna be pretty darn close to the final product, right?
It'll be pretty much how it is now, but really just looking for any revisions for conflicting language on this minimum lot size requirement for the ADUs. That's really about it.
My thought would be that, I mean, I'd like, these come in 120-day chunks to respond, but I just, and at this point, it was their mistake, not ours. But I just as soon get it done as quickly as possible. So I'd say bring the the final product as an action item.
I agree. I think in general, if there's some kind of issue, we could always push back to a date certain, at a later time, but
Exactly.
for something that's straightforward like that, I'd rather just, have us look at it. And if we can get it off your plate, we can.
Awesome.
Is that feasible? Do you think is the best way to go?
Absolutely, yeah. Basically what we have next month would be this as an action item. Bringing back, I think, the draft as the temporary, use permits. And then, as we talk about possibly talking about what the vacancies look like here. Again, we're going to talk about that tonight, but if that needs to extend by any means, and if anything additional pops up. So I think that because it's not so heavy quite yet, this is easy, from a capacity standpoint, as long as Jennifer feels like it is as well, because she will be doing the majority of that ordinance.
Well, let's ask her.
Yeah.
Can that come by next meeting, Jennifer?
I can get it done for you all.
All right.
Okay.
I like the unambiguity.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have something to add there, Linda?
It was, so I gave them pretty much what it states right now is per dwelling unit, which means times 2. And so DOLA thought that we were in compliance. The individual's name is Hannah, who first reviewed it. And then someone else from DOLA reviewed it and stated it just needs to be that like 8,000 square foot for both. So it was not an interpretation on town staffs. I gave them exactly how we read it and know it as we do now. And it just, I think, was an oversight on
And
that.
it's literally the change from dwelling unit to lot, essentially, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
that's
one
it.
word.
Yep, and then any conflicting language, if we do find any conflicting language in code, then those amendments will also be brought to you.
Okay.
But just kind of cleaning it up as we've been doing over the past, I'd say like 2 years, just kind of cleaning it up in any other sections. Or I think in the past, maybe that was missed.
Did you have something to add, Mac?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That you're reaching it. Okay. Well, that sounds good. Can we just give a nod for Britt? We're all nodding.
Perfect.
Do you need any more direction?
I do not. I am going to publicly notice it. And again, if you guys find at the next meeting you're not ready or there's corrections and you want to extend it, we can extend it. There's also the language, as we've done in the past, where we're like, make these few corrections, otherwise it's a pass.
Okay.
So that's really how that'll move forward.
Is there any hornet's nest that'll be stirred up by the public notice?
No, I think we will actually have at least one individual that will be really excited and has been very eager on progress on this.
Good. Okay,
Yeah.
let's make it happen.
Well, I'm going to tell you, from that housing, when we did all this and we did the workshop and we looked at this, I think we had at least 2 work sessions on it, maybe 3. I think we just missed this. This was just, I think, an oversight because the intent was always to increase density.
Mhm.
That's the way we can
Yep.
get some more housing, and there was concern, oh, we don't want tiny home villages popping up. Well, it's all can only be what Yard and Bulk says you can have on that. So I think this was literally just what you said. It was a clerical oversight.
Mhm.
We had always intended to increase density. And it just, code is vast. There's a lot of stuff in there, and
Mhm.
that just goes to show you one word could change the entire meaning of what the code says.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we'll close this item, and I'm going to assert my privilege to say we're going to take a 5-minute break and then pick this up right after that.
Alrighty.
'Cause-
I'm gonna mute us while we take this 5 minutes, Jennifer.
Say something, email us. We do. Okay, we are back. If we could get unmuted and we'll continue on with the next item.
We are unmuted.
Okay, we will continue on with the next item, which is an informational item 7.1.
Alrighty, so this is just an update for Planning Commission term expirations coming up. Just to remind you, the Planning Commission is an appointed advisory board responsible for reviewing development proposals and land use regulations within its authority under the Town of Netherlands Land Use and Zoning Code. All commissioners must be legal residents of the town and are appointed to serve a 4-year term. So the current terms up for expiration on June 1st are Commissioner Dye, Commissioner Pinsner, and Chair Reese. At present, there are 2 existing vacancies on the Planning Commission. And should these members decide not to seek reappointment, we would have 5 vacant seats. So right now, our remaining seat members would be Commissioner Duggan, Commissioner Glasser, and Vice Chair Mahold, whose terms expires in 2027. The town did initiate a recruitment process for the board and commission vacancies on May 1st. Applications are due by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, May 26th. And then the Board of Trustees will consider these at their June 6th meeting. It's June 2nd. I messed that up because that's the wrong year and day. Sorry. It's been a long month. But it will be the June 2nd meeting, 2026. I am happy to share, if it's okay, that Commissioner Dye and Commissioner Prenzner both to put in their applications. Again, we still have those 2 vacant. We have not gotten any other applications, and
Yeah, this is
I'll
going to
let
be
you
my
decide.
last meeting. I've been on for 8 years, and I really appreciate the hard work that we've tried to do on behalf of the town. I'm also proud to say that I only managed to miss 1 meeting in 8 years, and that was a car problem that kept me from getting back from Boulder in time. But you know, I was very happy to get the overlay district and the comp plan across the finish line. It was a heavy lift, and I'm going to take the win, and I'm going to bow out gracefully and thank all of you that are willing to stay on and continue doing the hard work for the town.
Yeah,
Thanks.
many thanks to you.
Well done.
I would still love to see a gathering of those commissioners that we have, have departed in the past couple years. But can I clarify that it's the 4-year term? Because have I really served 4 years? I don't believe I have.
no, so I believe we mixed yours up.
You
The-
took over somebody else.
Good question.
Yes. So, Chair Reese and I were actually just talking about this before. I believe your vacancy is, we actually made the determination when we spoke about this last time was 2028. So I don't think there's a need for you to put in an application.
Yeah.
You would technically, your expiration would be 2028. So that was a clerical error that Macy and I kind of went through. There was kind of this weird, we had a couple members serve like 2-year terms that were serving for other people.
Yeah.
And then drop off. So it's been a really funky, so how it kind of is set up right now is Commissioner Dyes would now be 2030. Yours would still be 2028, so we could remove your application. Sorry to make you do all that. Commissioner Glasser's is 27, Vice Chair Mahold is 27, Commissioner Duggan is 2029. The rest are vacancies.
Does that mean I don't have to go before the board?
You don't have to go before the
Okay.
board. It's also going to be, I was telling Mike and I was going to tell you tonight when I got yours. It is going to be on the consent. You're welcome to be in person. You're welcome to be on virtually. They may not ask questions. They may ask questions, but it will be as a consent item on that meeting.
Meaning meaning that we will also participate in the new members applying, or what do you mean by the consent?
Oh, no, it's just typically the board, anything that's on consent, unless they have questions, they typically just make a motion to pass everything on consent.
I understand.
Yep, so it will just be Commissioner Dye. I'm so sorry for messing that up. So I will get that updated on the website for yours, but it is 2028. And then now we'll kind of have these years where it's a couple people at a time instead of like 4 or 5.
Yeah, we were trying to get realigned to where we had it spaced
Yes.
out to where we had 2 or no more than 3 come up at any given year. Ideally, we would want 2 per year.
Mhm.
But indeed, what we've had is people that have taken on other partial terms, have jumped in, and it kind of got confused. It takes a lot of going back through minutes to figure that out. But essentially, all it takes is a new motion, to change those terms, right? We can
Correct.
update them.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're off the hook for actually saying 4 more years.
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
like to also put out there, I don't know what the legalities of our coming together are and all being in the same place for non-business related events, but I would be happy to host a gathering of the commissioners, and I'm just, you can see my house from here, so it's a central location that we could come together in, and would be really, really nice to show our thanks.
And
Does-
Jennifer, just to confirm, for Sunshine Laws, don't we just have to post that they're hosting like a get together?
Actually, there is an exception in the sunshine laws for social gatherings when you're not
Okay.
discussing, as long as everybody's not discussing public business, then you can meet for this event. But you can also post it too. That's probably the safest way to go. Then you have to make it open to the public. So anybody comes, you got to open your door.
Probably
I
not.
don't know about that, yeah.
For-
we'll-
Maybe
we'll
not that.
Keep in touch on that one.
I know who would show up.
Okay.
So with that, then next meeting, that's kind of what I was referring to. Next meeting, we would have, I guess, I don't know how, I've never had this happen in the past, but I think we'd have to do an action item for chair and vice chair.
You'll have to do a new
Mhm.
vote for the,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll have an aim very similar to this, like you've seen in the past. So start thinking, talk amongst yourselves if there's an interest.
But only
Also,
one at a time.
yeah, also, we're
I
still.
just noticed.
We're still not getting applications, so, I'm kind of reaching out to people, I know Tom is, if any of you know people that want to learn more, they're welcome to come by my office. Again, there is that, resident component, so that's really the difference here with the planning commission versus advisory boards. But I'm happy to send any informational stuff. You can send them my way. I've reached out to a couple people. It seems that this is kind of the year people are traveling this summer. But thankfully you're all showing up, but I think it's just something to keep in mind if somebody wasn't here. Now we're losing this like voting aspect. So just getting a little concerned and would love any help. You'll probably see another email from me blasting out to all the boards because we have it's really like this across the board for our advisory boards and.
Do we have the
planning commission.
date of the June meeting already
For
for next
vaca-
month? Just the meeting itself? I do have a surgery on the
Oh,
18th of
Yes,
June.
yes. So next month, it's not gonna be funky. It'll fall regularly, so it'll be June 24th. So if you are out, maybe that's something we discuss in other business about if we need to look at.
I should be able to do it virtually, but I'll probably
That's
be
fine.
recovering.
That's fine.
Thanks.
And does the liaison count for quorum or do they not? If the trustee liaison?
They can, right, Jennifer, for a vote if there's not enough?
Yes, they count for quorum. I was actually just looking at this. So you guys are going to be really very close. Well, I'd have to look at your bylaws. I mean, you're supposed to have 9 members. And one of those members is the Board of Trustees. Is a Board of Trustee member.
Okay.
I've, for a liaison, I already reached out Right, I talked with the mayor about it, but I requested Andrew Joslin. And he indicated an interest, and Nicole thought that was a good idea, so it's extremely possible that he's gonna be nominated to be, or appointed to be our next liaison.
Yeah, and I don't know when that's on the board, but that should be coming up soon now that they've got a mix. They've got,
Mhm.
that was getting come up in town staff, but, Billy Giblin and Topher, I forgot his last name.
Donahue.
Donahue, were appointed last night. And so now that we have these new members, the liaisons will need to swap up for all the boards.
You're going to be right on the line. The quorum is 5. I've got the bylaws here.
Perfect.
And so, the sooner you can get,
A liaison?
or some other folks on, the better.
So,
So,
yeah, because we can't even start the meeting to swear them in even if we got somebody.
so that was part of the reason when I got on, that was one of the issues, was they were having trouble. So they actually expanded the planning commission by 1 member, which was what allowed me to get on. Chris Perret actually was selected over me, recommended over me at the time. And then a few months later, they had canceled 2 meetings because they couldn't get quorum. And they decided to expand the number so that they could have a better chance with that. And I'm going to say, as long as I have been here, we have never not had a quorum that I can remember, that we had to cancel a meeting due to quorum. Has there been one that you can think of?
No.
A
we have
planning
not.
commission meeting? I
Nope.
don't think so. So,
Nope.
I appreciate all the great involvement from the team, and I think it's going to continue to go by. I'm going to give these to you. Okay, that thank you very much for that. And if you do have anything on the town reports you would like to highlight?
Yes, so, for anyone, the board meeting, if you are interested, is up on YouTube. I got it posted there this morning. But there's strategic planning. There is a survey going out. You should have received an email from John. We are working on a link that it's not Microsoft because there was some feedback from the public that they don't have Microsoft accounts. So we're going to be working on a separate link, but it's a survey on their strategic goals and what you think. There's a section of like, list the priority, and then there's going to be a section where you can add like, this is missing. So I would encourage all of you to do that survey. I believe originally they wanted to get all results by, I think it was next Wednesday.
June 1st.
June
Yeah,
1st, there
June
we
1st,
go.
yeah.
Okay. So I would encourage you, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or John. John had a prior commitment, so he's wasn't able to come tonight.
It's
But-
well put together. I took a
Yes.
look at it, and it's very detailed,
Mhm.
and it's a great tool, I think, to provide equally detailed feedback. I think that's what that shows, is that the town is looking to reach out to the, the involved folks in the community and see what they're thinking on these things and get their feedback. So I
Yeah.
applaud you and John for doing that.
He
Yeah.
said last night it took a lot of work to get it down from 75 pages.
So you will be applying, or you will be responding as a board. If you want to, there's also on the Facebook link, there is like a community member. So maybe you have different priorities as a community member. I'd encourage you to just, put that kind of on there. That's totally fine. Because you'll see our board is on there of what we have. But they're really honing in on getting that, and it's for 2026 through 2028, where I think in the past we've kind of maybe done like a year. Something that John is stressing and, just trying to get out there is, again, just remember your departments are of one. And so like staff is also going to be, responding to this survey. For us, we did a lot of work together on what our priorities were. And I kind of, based on what we've already done, kind of gave them that feedback there. So we're just trying to keep that in mind as well. I think there's a lot of ambitious goals, and we always try to remind staff and boards, there's one of us most of the time, or 2 of us, being me and John, and a lot of our roles here. And so we're trying to still continue, one of my big focuses this year, and a lot of staff, is we want to make sure, yes, we're getting some of these exciting things done and getting these grants, but we still want to really focus on our service and dial in on that. We saw that community engagement drop off and some staff members drop off. And so we want to show up better for the community than we have in the past. We have received a lot of good feedback, but we're kind of tweaking it as we go. And feedback we're getting from new community members. We've had a lot of new people move into this community. And then just our community that's already been here. And so we're really focusing on that service aspect. And as staff, I know that I've heard that across the board is that's a big priority. We love doing new projects, but we don't want to slack there. So yeah,
Capacity has got to be
yeah,
considered.
yes. Yeah, especially with all the grants we've got going. I did want to just like kind of highlight in Josh's like streets world, you know, they're going back and forth winter, summer. So they go in between continuing that culvert work and reaching out to the community about that. And then continuing to work on our snow maintenance as it's needed, doing maintenance on those machines. So it's almost like we're getting them ready again, using them and making sure they're still good. So we're doing a lot of maintenance on our equipment right now. And they've been doing a great work. We've heard a lot of good feedback there. Utilities has been doing a lot of hydrant maintenance. And so all of our team has been, or at least core members of our team that are sending out alerts. We've all been gone through kind of a training for Everbridge. And so that's something anyone that is signed up. And again, I'll probably put like kind of a info of like how to sign up. We're wanting to use that for alerts because if you've signed up with your phones, it's going to shoot you a text. So it might be we're doing culvert work in the area. So we're going to shoot you a text. So the streets manager went through it. I went through it. Utilities. We just all kind of want to start using that. So it's not just some people aren't using Facebook or they're not using the website. You know, sometimes. So I will get you a thing together because off the top of my head, I don't know. I was going to send it out to the boards and then do kind of like a page of, hey, sign up for this. This is what we're looking to do as staff. And we've kind of started talking about those updates. We have the snow plowing GPS, you know, in the future, could we do it with culverts, things like that. And so as staff, we're kind of just, how can we be more interactive and show you guys what we're doing on the website for people who use that, or just get that message across. So really excited to use that. Also, so they're still replacing meters right now. It looks like they're on 54 and their goal's 100. We did get some really cool new meters that you can actually like see usage and stuff with your phone. The app.
Water meters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're really neat and we're kind of still working through making sure everyone's upgraded in that. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, anytime that happens, you know, obviously, so it's like one per year. If you have a major leak, we actually do have a form you can fill out with. Yes, good. Okay, you can fill out a form with utilities. And we do work with getting you a refund back on that because sometimes it's not caught. Thankfully, these new water meters, I think, will be catching that. So we'll catch it quicker than we have in the past. Community centers. So we did hire a new part-time front desk. Her name is Tanya Kaler. Feel free to, you know, say hi if you're around and you haven't met her yet. We're in the process of starting the interview process for the manager position. So Dawn's position. She will be leaving. I want to say that's in July, but I have to double check. Another person that's going to be leaving is, again, Rita's time's coming up here soon. So she's started training. The individual's name is Reed. I always mess up the name of the company that it's used. Tom, you can, if you remember it, it's Plant Moran. There we go. He's actually in Evergreen. So he's been coming here and training with Rita in the meantime to kind of prep for that transition. Yes, correct. Yes, that's for treasurer. So they've been doing some work with Eldora. And they do work with a bunch of different kind of communities. But instead of hiring that position right now, he's going to kind of be our main person that we're going to kind of be using through this transition until the board figures out what that next step kind of looks like.
He's tag team mayor with Reed on the audit, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So he's been in the office I think I've seen him just about every day that I've come in. He's here quite frequently, if not every day. And so they've really been tackling that together, kind of working through the finance team. Some updates on my end. We are seeing quite the spike in building permits. I put on here, I've seen 10 within like the month span. And then I think like within a couple of days, I got 15. And so we are really increasing our permits. What's that? I would say one, I think we've caught enough people on my first or second year here doing unpermitted work, with the code enforcement and just me being in there too. I think, to be honest with you, I think we woke up Safe Built when we talked to the board about getting that RFP. We're still, again, planning to do that. That's kind of, we were waiting till spring. And so that's on my list. I've been doing a lot of research, but their communication, they're showing up just the way they've shown up for the residents and the developers. We still have our quirks there, but I think honestly, the turnaround time has been better than I've seen in quite a while. I have pretty much bi-weekly to monthly meetings with our program manager there. Our code enforcement officer and I meet weekly. And so I think really just being more involved. I'm also planning to go down. They have their office is out of Northglenn, and it's not far from where I live. So I'll go meet the permit technicians and kind of put a face to the name, and just see how their world looks to continue to keep that fluidness until we either go with someone new or, maybe this changes things. I don't know. But I mean, I also think, to be honest with you, between all the wind, and just houses aging here, we're seeing a lot of roof permits, a lot of generators, a lot of windows. And so I think people are really just kind of having to start to make those changes in the houses. But yeah, it's been really cool to see. Our numbers are quite higher than they have been in the past couple of years. So I think it's great because it's me.
I think that you hit the main reason on the head was increased enforcement.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people are asking questions. I actually have, now that I think people know that there's a staff member there to answer and to walk through, and our building official that represents through Safe Built has actually come up and done walkthroughs with me, with people to talk about, what we can do in their project, how we can get them compliant. Are there ways that, not necessarily a variance, but are there other options in code that maybe could be more cost efficient for them? So they really showed up in that way. And I think people are responding very well to that. And I think honestly, the fire, people want to make sure they're in code compliance and building compliance now. Cause that's a big fear.
Question, Britt, among all the permits, are people starting to put in heat pumps up here yet?
A
Good.
couple, but
Good.
honestly, my biggest permits are probably generators, and I still see a lot of solar. So generators and solar typically are what we're seeing.
We've had a lot more power outages.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so another thing is Cass and I have started, so I'm going to be working on, we're moving forward. We had our first kind of consent item hearing of the 2024 building code. And so I'm actually working towards my certification for 2024. So I'll have that certification from a permit perspective. We got $50K in grant funding that allows Cass and I to get these certification and go to some of these kind of like, not webinars, what are the conferences that we haven't had the money for in the past, to really educate ourselves on what are other communities doing for affordable housing, energy, ADU, more ADU friendly, just things like that. So that's really huge. That's something I haven't been able to do in my over 3 years here.
Is there going to be a quick reference sheet or something that's going to show what the new stringent requirements are of the 2024, the changes from
Yeah.
what our current is?
Yeah.
Like a cheat sheet or something like that?
Yep, I can provide one that the fire department and Safe Built and myself and Jennifer kind of worked on, like what are the main core changes here. I can definitely get that out to you. What I will say is originally what made us go to 2024 instead of 2021, because we were on 2018, is there's a lot more cost savings in the 2024. They took out some more stringent things regarding to energy that was in 2021 that they were seeing was creating like a hardship for developers and homeowners. And so that's why we chose to go that route.
How funny, being late actually is gonna
Yeah,
be better for us because we'll have less, they'll have worked out the kinks, as it were.
exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. So, and now, you know, that we've kind of got a good team here, the goal typically is that every 3 years you kind of update your code. And so that's the goal for myself, and Marshall Jocelyn would both love to keep on that. So we will actually be aligned once we make this update. I believe it's the June 16th that the final hearing will be. We'll be in the same compliance with like Boulder County. And so it'll make it a lot more clear across the board to developers and homeowners. So they're not going from 18 to 21 to 24 and kind of all over the place. Fire department's very happy about it too. So we'll be all aligned on that, which has been a big process. So I'm just excited. We're almost done.
You may or may not know this, but does that have a requirement that all new residential buildings have sprinkler systems?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think there is some kind of, there's still like a square footage aspect to it. I don't remember off the top of my head. I can find what it is, but there's always been some kind of square footage component for remodels and new builds that ends up requiring that sprinkler. It does, most of the time it does get triggered. And so most of the new builds are, pretty much all the new builds I've seen up here have some kind of sprinkler system.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Really the kind of other things that I wanted to talk about is we held our second workshop with our MVNV team, which is our capstone students from CU Boulder. So they're working on a resiliency plan. They're kind of taking our 2030, our comprehensive plan, all these plans that we've had these goals for some of them quite long, and like, why haven't we accomplished them? What was the priority of them? You know, why haven't they been done? So creating this more like tangible, here's what you guys have identified, what we've seen over and over in every plan.
Yeah.
Here's like how to get there.
And the roadblocks and what we can
Exactly.
do to accomplish it.
Exactly. So they've, I mean, right now they're really digging in on all of those plans. The community, we've given them raw data for the community surveys so they can see how it was done. We even got to talk to Miranda and talk about how, in 2030, how did they break apart those groups? How did they decide them? That kind of thing. So they're really digging into it, which is exciting. And we'll start this summer any engagement that they think they need to get from there, where they're like, okay, we have all of these, we need to prioritize them better. You'll start seeing that over the summer as they're on their break. So we've really hit heavy. We meet with them about once a week. They've actually came and worked in town hall with me. They love it. They have a blast. They love being here. It's really cool to see.
It'd be super cool if they'd be willing to give a presentation on how they actually go about that.
Yeah, I would be more than
Super
happy
awesome.
to,
Yeah.
because they actually have a number of presentations and hours they have to meet. And so that definitely could be one where you could see that. And that's part of their plan will be them outlining kind of like what they've seen, where they got it from, kind of how these surveys
Yeah.
results happened.
Very cool.
But yeah, I think it would be good for them to present that. So I'll bring that up in our next meeting.
How many students are?
So there's three. One of them actually lives locally here. Billy Gibling's brother, Patrick Gibling. The other two go to CU, but they're one of them, their family members here live here, and she's very active in this community. She's actually volunteer firefighting in Sugarloaf. And then the other one, Garrett, he is he's just been up here a lot for kind of recreational use, but has like, they were, when Cass and I went and did this presentation and hoped that students would be interested, these three students were just like beyond excited about the project. And so it's really cool to see people that don't live here that care as much. Obviously, I'm one of them. I don't live here and I care a lot about you guys, but
They might
yeah.
consider, if they have anything for the planning commission, kind of keeping that
Yeah.
in your back pocket for a light
Yeah.
meeting. You know, like somebody pulls a
Absolutely.
packet or something like that, and you know, and a little just opportunity to not, you know, have a 30-minute meeting, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's a great point.
Any update on
Yeah. So John and I met with them in Excel. So Wright Tree Company is hired through Excel. There's two different tree companies that are throughout the peak to peak kind of region that they are using. Essentially what it is that in most like areas, there's a 15-foot radius, like out on the West Coast. I believe in ours, they've gone down to 5 for some residents. We did issue permits. It is really these falling like trees they're concerned about or hitting the power lines. Their goal is to talk to you. So I would encourage you if they're really like, I have the guy came to my office today and goes, I can't get a hold of these residents. What can I do? So the trees that are tagged, they're not pulling anything until they have talked to you. I talk to them again pretty weekly. They have gone to the point where they're, okay, we understand this tree doesn't want to be cut. What can we do? Like, these are the ones we'd really like to cut. This is a high priority area. So it does sound like from what I've heard in the feedback, they are negotiating and working with residents. They're not trying to come in here and slash down all the trees.
Yeah.
They're quite,
Which is a big improvement from about
Yes.
6 years ago when they did that very thing on my property.
yes, exactly. They're very well educated in the pine beetles. And so the one guy comes and talks to me about all the time. So one of the recommendations I gave to them is they need to pull those logs off the property. Again, that's something we've heard kind of back and forth with owners. Apparently it's better to have them off in regards to like pine beetles. So I guess that was a good call on my part that I didn't know. But we are kind of working. It doesn't sound like it's happened on all. And so we're gradually working with them and just making sure if they're not being pulled from your property, obviously the super large logs, they're kind of limited on some of the work they can do there. But if they're having issues, come talk to me. Their team has been amazing.
I'm going to tell you, they cut trees down from across the street, Mark
Mhm.
Stringfellow's lot, and they cut them up and they were and they said, do you guys want this
Yeah.
for your church wood bank? I said, that would be great, but I can't manage these 4 and 5 foot lengths. They came back and cut them all to length,
awesome.
all the 16, 17-inch lengths.
Yeah.
And they were still very heavy.
Yes.
But it was manageable and gave us the wood, and half a dozen people will benefit from that this winter.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you're having trouble with them, but I'm telling you, the heavy-handed approach that they used to, this is dramatically better
Yeah.
than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they are really interested in building a relationship with town. This is the company that, when this happens down the road a couple of years again, this is realistically the company that they'll keep using for our area. And so I think if from at least the individuals that I've had, like he comes to me all the time. He's like, I can't, do you think you could reach out to them? Can you help me? So just they'll come to the door several times. What I've been doing is trying to connect, reaching out to the owner. Is it okay if I share your information? Can I give your email, your phone number? They're having a hard time contacting you. This is a legitimate company, like just educating people on who they are. So I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and, as soon as they're able to actually talk to them, it's been good. I know the one individual's phone number, I think that's left, his mailbox is full. I had to call it like 10 times before I got a hold of him. And so that's feedback I gave to them recently. But yeah, I would, if your neighbors haven't, or you have friends that haven't, I'd encourage them, if they're comfortable with reaching out to give their information, to reach out to me so I can provide that. Because we have been trying to be sensitive towards people's information.
In the past, they would leave.
Your neighbors.
Yeah.
People are ignoring them. I
Um,
think, I think some people, that aren't seeing like the Facebook post or haven't talked to me are just scared that their trees are going to get cut. But I will say, like, they are making sure that, like, if you're like, absolutely not, they're not going to cut that tree. So,
Oh.
yeah.
That's good, because if you come to my house, I have 7 giant scarecrow trees
Yeah.
that are still sitting around on my property, because they said we will only cut it to the length that it
Yeah.
will fall and hit the
Yeah.
power lines. And I was like, oh, great. So, and the first year they left all the branches on. I couldn't even get them to, and the next time they came, they were going to come 75 feet onto my property. I said, I'll call the police. And they said, well, I have an agreement. You call the police all you want. I said, how about Kyle Clark? Do you want to keep going this way?
Yeah.
And that's the level of animosity and adversity that I had with them.
Yeah.
And so this is just the fact that they're not just coming and saying, hey, Pound Sand, we have the right to do this.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the town actually sticking up for the residents.
Yeah.
Because that didn't happen before.
Yeah. Yeah. You can thank this lovely lady right here educated me on what was happening. Yeah, so other than that, I've got a good EV and a bad EV. We're not hearing from them at all, so I've now, am working with Jennifer to see what our next steps are.
Are we getting into lawsuit range pretty soon?
Yes, yes, we did meet the individual who helped install the infrastructure and the charger itself, works with a lot of other communities. It's not something he's done. He's honestly advocated for us without even billing us. He brought up a representative. We talked with MECAS, talked with both of them. There are more grants out there, and so they really encouraged us, hey, try to get some money back from them, and then we can put that money towards the grant and we'll help you write it. We'll help you do it. But we also are on the,
So we got a lemon is what we did.
Yes.
We got a lemon charter. Yeah.
yep. But what exciting thing happened is Cass and I reached out to Boulder County. They did get some funding where they're able to do at least 4 fast chargers. And they were looking for rural, like, areas essentially that typically, like, you're seeing a lot of traffic, but are maybe more rural. So we had them come up, and we've been working with Tebow. Tebow's property is interested in working with their team. They did a whole site assessment. We are on their list of a possible. And so that would actually include the visitor center parking lot and the 20 Lakeview Drive. They were very open to it because of, obviously the fire, and now they're looking at, okay, what can we do here? So that could open us a possibility anywhere from like 4 to 6 chargers,
Wow.
which we are showing the traffic for it. And so we'll see if they continue through that process. It's really been really cool. So although this has been a pain to work through, the possibility of having that many chargers, I mean, we need them. We have a lot of community members that have EV cars, and we just don't. I mean, we have a lot of tourists that come through, and we don't have that fast charger
Capacity right
capability.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
Great, if you go to plugshare.com or that little app,
Mhm.
and they map that you can toggle and just look at the fast chargers. This is a wasteland here.
It is.
And it's, we have so many peak to peak. People are really disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. This could be huge for us. And I think, the fire is very unfortunate, but I think it's opened a lot of doors. It's gonna be a much safer building. And to know that we can get, possibly 6 chargers for our community, and we've built such a better relationship, I think, with their team. It's been a good experience.
And speaking of the
unfortunately,
fire, the
Yeah.
cleanup looks like it's approaching the end.
Yes. Yep. So, I think I'm waiting for updates from their team this week on kind of where we're at. But again, from town's perspective, as soon as we get the thumbs up, they're good to start. I mean, they're good to keep going. So they have done a preliminary kind of meeting. They're still working on plans. They've been in conversations with myself, the fire marshal. So I think they're ready that as soon as this is done to start submitting those permits. Yep. And we're very excited for that. That'll be a really big project we've all put our time into. Other than that, I just wanted to put a quick plug in. We are hiring a utilities operator full-time, a parks part-time, and then a seasonal temporary part-time visitor center person. I forget what the dates are. They're on the website and I've shared them on Facebook. If you know anyone, all those positions are open. The community center ones are closed now. So we're not taking any more for that. But those ones are still open. We're still looking for people. I don't think we've received a lot of applications. Visitor center, I think we've received a couple, but parks and utilities are.
Man, I would be spamming Nedheads. I would
Yeah,
be getting that one twice a week.
Yeah, that's my next goal, is to post it on there. I posted it on our Facebook pages first. I can say I worked in utilities for a year and parks for about a week. Yes, but I think there's capability of, like, you figure out there are technical ways to kind of move stuff. In utilities, you can get away with not being like the strongest person in the world. There's a lot of equipment to assist you there. I am a little bit. But yeah, both of those, I've obviously worked for both. They're both great departments. I had a lot of fun. So yeah, we'd love to see more
And
applicants.
if you like to be outdoors.
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, and I really have appreciated working with you, and the packets and how the information is coming to the planning commission has evolved to a point that I think it is top notch.
Yeah.
Very understandable, and I appreciate your hard work. It's been a learning curve for all of us.
yes,
As, you know, the one constant in life is change.
yeah.
And this too, you know, we will adjust for. I want to thank everybody on the planning commission for coming and helping us get these big projects across the finish line. The comp plan and the overlay district were big, heavy lifts. You know, I was looking back and I realized, you know, that I found a aim from January of 2025, and it said, we've been working on the comp plan for a year at this point. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we've put a lot of time and effort into that. So I appreciate everyone coming prepared. I've never seen anybody show up and just be like, and ask questions that they obviously hadn't read the packet, which hasn't always been the case in the past. So thank you so much.
Don't forget the animals.
Yeah.
But let's forget
Luckily,
them
I was
for
not
now.
involved in that. Linda and I chose the parking path.
Yeah, so before we close out, yeah, I just wanted to say I'd really like for us, I'm glad Elizabeth opened that. I'd really like for us to do something for you. I mean, you've been here since I've started. You and Steve and all of you have really helped me out, but you guys have obviously been a part of my whole journey, and it's, you've got us dialed in. So, you know, what? If you want, I'm happy to, I could either send out like an email if that would be more helpful for people, like provide
Doodle
some
poll?
dates, or yeah, a doodle poll. I could send out a doodle poll to you guys. And yes. Yeah. Or if it was easier and we wanted to do a Chipita rental, I'd be happy to do that application. It's totally up to you.
Or
But
it
yeah,
could be something as simple as going and meeting at a local establishment.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll figure it out
Absolutely.
whenever. I think availability is going to be the biggest issue, but
yeah.
uh,
So we do have that exception, so it is okay. I think in this instance, nobody's gonna be side eyeing us for, I mean,
Yeah.
we've had some pretty long-standing members leave. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you for all you've done all the time and the patience, and honestly, you've helped mold me into, I think, a very good, planner in my role, and we're gonna miss seeing you around, but of course, like I told you, I'm still gonna bother you as a resident. I'm gonna call on you sometimes, and yeah, just
you
appreciate
know,
you
I'm
for
so
this.
shy, so you may never ever see me again. Yeah,
When you need a strong arm.
yeah, definitely. I'll be around. But is there any other business anybody had? I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thanks, guys. I really
Meeting
appreciate it.
ends at 8:36.